Today we'll be discussing on genetically modified crops debate. A developing country is planning to legalize GMO. The question is, should they proceed? I'm the host today, Carmen. So before we start our topic today, let's have a basic understanding on GMO. So based on National Human Genome Research Institute, GMO is a plant, animal or microbe which one or more changes have been made to the genome to alter their characteristic. GMO is often used to increase crop yield, enhance food security, and also reduce the reliance on pesticide due to the pest resistance. However, there are some concerns about whether GMO should be legalized. Today, we have an incredible panel with Mr. Aziz, ensure a balanced discussion, Mani, specializing in food ethics, Fahimi, an environmental activist, Leia, a biotech researcher, Zoe, an expert in agriculture economics, and Yentong, representing public concerns. So, let's get started.
Let's discuss some key concepts. Fahimi, what are the biggest concerns regarding GMOs, especially in developing countries?
Thank you, Aziz. When we are talking about GMOs, of course, the primary concern surrounding it is their potential impact on health. According to a research by Dr. Teresa Phillips, a famous ecological consultant, altering the genomic expression of plants and introducing new protein strains, it can lead to horizontal gene transfer. This process may have unintended consequences, such as potentially harming the environment, animals, and even human health itself.
But to differ, GMOs have been implemented globally and it helped developing countries like India, Brazil, and even Malaysia to combat their food crisis without any side effect. As for your concerns, the European Food Safety Authority has confirmed that the risk of gene transfer from GMOs to microorganisms in the environment is extremely low and almost undetectable, while DNA from GMO plants can persist in the soil for a short period. Not only that, GMOs also have potential health benefits as well, like golden rice with an enhanced vitamin A content.
Well, I can see the point that you are trying to make, but what about environmental consequences? When we alter natural process, won't this further disrupt our biodiversity? Well, a well-known example is of course the BT corn, which has been genetically modified to produce its own insecticides, which raises concern about its long-term effects on our ecosystem. Since GMOs are still relatively new, we still doesn't know their long-term application, and even we doesn't really know about it really. More research is needed for us to fully assess their benefits, and we make sure that it will not come at our cost.
Without a doubt, the benefits outweigh its risks. Crops that are genetically modified to be pest or disease resistant help to decrease the usage of synthetic pesticides, which reduce further soil and water pollution.
Such interesting perspective. Well, we have heard from both sides regarding health, safety, and environmental concerns of GMOs. While one side argues that GMOs pose potential health and environmental risks due to limited studies, the other side points out that GMOs have been widely adopted in various countries with significant benefits in terms of food security and agricultural sustainability. However, beyond the scientific and economic debates, it's important to consider the experiences of those that are involved in food production. Before we move forward, let's take a step back and listen to those that are affected by these policies. I would like to ask Yentong, what was farming like before GMOs?
This was very hard. Pests destroy crop, so I had to use a lot of pesticide. But over time, pests become resistant, so I had to spray even more. It was expensive and bad for the environment. Next, weeds were another big challenge. I have to remove them by hand or use different herbicide. It's harm my crop. Even with all that effort, weeds still reduce my hard work. Then, weather was also a challenge. If there was a drought, my corn would die, and farming depend a lot on luck.
That sounds tough. So how did things change with GMOs?
GMO make a huge difference. For example, PT crop fight pests on their own. This means I don't need as many pesticides, which save money and keep my crop healthy. I heard of the adoption of BT cotton in India, one of the developing countries in 2002. Pesticide use dropped by 50% and cotton use doubled. This helped many farmers earn more and improve their life.
Thank you for sharing your experience. It's clear that GMOs have brought significant changes to farming. However, while these benefits are evident for farmers, we also need to consider the economic implications. Beyond individual farms, how do GMOs impact the side of economy? Like I said with this one, the use of genetically modified crops actually has significant advantage in terms of reducing pesticide use. For example, the adoption of BT cotton back in China are able to cut pesticide costs as well as reduce labor costs. This is due to the nature of BT toxins, which are proteins that target certain insect pests, for example, corn rootworms. When these insects consume BT cotton, toxin actually binds to receptors in their gut, causing cell lysis, gut paralysis, and ultimately death. Glad to be on the same page. With the advancement of such technology, climate change are not an issue due to resilience of GMOs. Definitely, food security and poverty reduction, particularly for developing countries, can be aided with GMOs. Having heard, an edutech company has recently developed H24 wheat, which are genetically modified to withstand drought conditions.
But GMO seeds are actually patented and typically more expensive than conventional seeds. Farmers must repurchase them each season from big companies, increasing their long-term costs, let alone the patent licensing fees.
While high seed costs as well as licensing fees are definitely valid concerns, however, higher use and input costs for pesticides, for example, herbicides as well as manual labor costs, all can be reduced with the help of GMOs, outweighing those initial expenses. In fact, a comprehensive analysis found that GM crops contributed to an average income increase of $100 per hectare in 2014.
Well, I see that the two of you are definitely on the same side of supporting the legalization of GMOs in developing countries due to their economic benefits. What about money? What are your perspectives on this matter?
While GMOs offer numerous benefits, concerns persist, especially in developing countries where potential risks and long-term health effects remain uncertain. Issues like allegiancity, ethical dilemmas, and personal or religious opposition further complicate the debate. This raises a fundamental question. Are we innovating or interfering with nature? Are we playing God? Instead of blindly embracing technology, we must carefully assess risk, enforce strict regulations, and consider the broader implication of altering life at its core.
I do agree that personal and religious belief can lead some people to reject GMOs. How can we address this while respecting their perspective?
When it comes to genetically modified foods, those who feel strongly that the development of GMOs is against nature or religion have called for clear labeling rules so they can make informed selections when choosing which item to purchase. Respect for consumer choice and assumed risk is as important as having safeguards to prevent mixing of genetically modified products with non-genetically modified foods.
Definitely, it is not wise to force others to accept our views. Aside from what you just mentioned, the enhancement of biocontaminant measures, such as establishing isolation distances and creating pollen barriers, can also eliminate the concern of GMOs spreading to the environment.
Well, that's true, and I also believe that when it comes down to regulatory frameworks, robust regulatory oversights and further research on this relatively new technology ensures that GMO crops do not pose any risk to other plants and environment. The emergence of agencies like USDA's Animal and Plant Inspection Service in developing countries will ensure that GMO-related hazards are eliminated and further convince people to accept it.
So, we have heard from economic, ethical, scientific, and social perspective on the topic of legalizing GMOs in developing countries. It's clear that while potential health, environmental, and social concerns of the adoption of such technology exist, by respecting consumer choices, conducting further research to minimize the drawbacks, and strengthening regulatory frameworks, we can maximize the benefits of GMO technology due to its drought tolerance, enhanced nutritional content, and pest resistance. That's a wrap for our debate today on GMOs in developing countries.
Don't forget to like and share. See you all in the next episode of Fact Check.
Bye bye.
Bye.